Hey there, brilliant people. So in a previous video, I talked about the problem of intuition, and that the problem of intuition is that intuition is all about guiding us towards a more expansive future. But that when you seek to change the future, the world will fight back, because the world is a system and systems are self-correcting, which is to say any system likes to keep the status quo. A thermostat. That is a perfect example of a system trying to work to keep the status quo. So regardless of whether you've turned the oven on the room or you've opened a window, the thermostat is going to be working to, regardless of those changes within the room, still bring the room back to the temperature that has been set in the thermostat. Now, when we actually look at systems, we start to understand that if we're actually really trying to change the system, that's incredibly difficult to do. It really means that you're trying to get the system to do something that it wasn't originally designed to do. So you're actually trying to work to change that system to do something that it wasn't designed to do. And so actually, generally what you need to do is, it's kind of like, well, when the system gets to that point, then something else, kicks in and drives it in another direction. It gets very, very messy very quickly. So, what does that mean? It means a few things. First of all, yes, this is one of the reasons why whenever we look at times when the system has been changed successfully, and when I'm talking about the system, I'm talking mostly about the social system at the moment, it usually comes from the margins. And there's a very good reason for that, because part of the reason, of course, why the current system kind of resists change in the mainstream is because a lot of the mainstream, well, the current system is working for it. That's why it doesn't want to change it. I mean, of course, if the system was working for you, why would you want to change it? I mean, we even have that saying, if it's not broken, don't fix it. So for the people that the current system is working for, well, they don't see that the system is broken. So this is why so many changes to any system comes from the margins, from the periphery, because it's generally people at the margins or on, at the periphery of society. Well, they're the people that the system really isn't working for. That's why they've been pushed to the periphery. So what does all this mean? It means that it's not enough to take down the old system, because then what have you got? You've just got a mess. Actually, what you need to do is build a new system. In other words, if you're going to take down the old system, the first thing you have to ask yourself, or the first thing it would be good to ask yourself, is what are we going to replace it with? So so then we have to look at the system and what is keeping the system the way it is. Well, actually, from my point of view, it's one of the things with intuition is that your intuition, when you're looking forward to an expansive future, we learn to operate by constantly working towards a mutually expansive exchange. And unfortunately, the current system that we have, it's about constantly being out of exchange. So we're taught that we have to, sacrifice ourselves for our families, for our partners. That is not a healthy relationship. We're also, we have this expectation that, if we're going to make a lot of money, if we're going to become wealthy, that, well, actually, you've got to rip somebody else off. Well, that's not healthy either. And that's very short term. And quite frankly, that's how we've ended up, with a lot of the messes that we have. Because if we haven't been ripping each other off, we've actually been ripping off the environment. And so the problem is that we've had this system for a long time about everybody being out of exchange. And what I mean by being out of exchange, because I don't think I explained that, is where constantly people are trying to get more than they're given. You know, in fact, this is why a lot of people end up feeling quite entitled, because they think that that's what they should be doing. They think that they should be given more than what they're given, because that's the way to make their life work. Well, yes, in the old system, perhaps. But if we're going to create a new system, it needs to be one of mutually expansive exchange. Now, that actually does mean, of course, that everybody needs to be clear on what they want. They need to be clear on who they are, at least clear enough to know what it is about their own life that they want to expand and what that looks like. Anyway, so I will talk about mutually expansive exchange in another video, but the message from today, I'm sorry if it was a little bit rambly, but the message from today is the way that we solve the problem of intuition, which is the problem of how to create an expansive future, is that we kind of don't worry about the current system because really we don't want to use that system anymore. We want to focus on building a new system of mutually expansive exchange. And as I said, I'll talk about that more in another video, because that would be a really brilliant thing to do. So have a think about that. Think about how brilliant that would be. And until next time, remember that you're brilliant.